Hello, welcome home to Eden. Darling, this is Love Life with Eve, and we've got to keep with it because the destruction of the male psyche is a really, really sad, frightening thing that affects all women. And why is it so prevalent? I think one of the main things, much bigger contribution to the destruction of men's soulfulness, is the way that sexuality was meant to be this awesome worship place that took men into the mystery, took them into the freedom of expression, of abandonment, of surrender, that allowed them to fall into their hearts and fall in love through their sexual awakening with a woman into her many levels of mystery, right? But when you took porn into the picture, and you took sexuality and you made it a bunch of moves that kind of repeat, maybe 5 moves, 6 if at the most, that just go over and over again, and the guys are just practicing their moves, and they are mixed with violence, and they have hardwired themselves into violence connected with women instead of awe, instead of joy, instead of surrender, instead of heart, instead of falling in love, then there's like almost nothing to live for. They think, oh, cool, that's fine, I'll just live for power and money. But it doesn't do the same thing to the male psyche as love does, love of a woman, which then fuels their work, fuels their learning, fuels their awakening, fuels their enlightenment, and pushes them into the heart and takes them beyond the self-centeredness of the empowerment idea of what it is to be a man. So when he falls in love, when through his sexuality he comes into the mystery and the worship of woman, now suddenly he's awakened and he wants to do all kinds of things with his life, with his work, with his mission that before he didn't even consider, because he was like, service is too hard, surrender is too scary. But when he falls into falling in love and falls into the mystery of sacred sexuality, he realizes, oh, it's fun, it's an adventure that means something, and I'm not bored all the time with my 7 to 5 moves that repeat slower or faster, all about myself, mixed with violence. So when he takes the porn and he mixes it with violence and hatred of women, now he doesn't look up to women here. He doesn't see them as temple goddesses or portals into great understanding and awakening of his wisdom that really the sexuality would have brought him. Like, think of all the kings in ancient times who with their courtesans were influenced by the woman or with their wives because they listened to their hearts, and their bodies brought them into a whole nother place. But why is it so different now? Because the porn thing, when you bring in violence and hatred of the feminine instead of love of her, and you make it about the man's domination instead of the man's service and surrender to her pleasure, then what happens is there's no mystery, there's no heart opening, there's no playfulness. The sexuality no longer is about curiosity, exploration, or the subtlety of what happens when you don't know what to do, and then suddenly you are being more emotional or more tactile or more playful, more silly, more artistic in your lovemaking, more emotionally evocative, more communicating more of the love you have for her, because you've got to do something more. The passion is built, and instead of just whacking booty or being violent or doing something over and over again, because what I'm seeing is that men, after their sexual endeavors, encounters that go, maybe they are even in some epic space of doing their 5 moves over and over for a long time, they're exhausted, they're overwhelmed, they feel like, I can't continue my life, I'm screwed up, I can't release anyway. They're not they're not fed by their sexuality. They're not nourished and enlivened and energetically aligned the way the sexual potential has when it's connected with the heart and love of woman, worship of woman, desire for a real woman, not a child, and care for her and interest in her and curiosity and asking her what more does she need, what does she want, and letting her ravish him, letting her service him from where she wants to instead of telling her how to do it, show her the way. No surrender in that. No magic in that. No way, learning about what the feminine has to offer that is a different way of being cosmically, cosmic lovemaking it's not about the man telling her what to do. It's about him actually opening up to being loved, ravished, nourished, like he wants her to open up. He comes into his feminine. When he comes into his deep feminine through his sexuality, his heart opening, his awakening, his spirituality, now we're talking about a worthy sexuality that is energizing, it's aligning, it helps his work, it makes him feel like, wow, I'm really a man in my life. I know how to, like in Peru, I had a friend once who told me in his country that the way to become a man was to pleasure a woman. And and a friend of mine went to Peru because she was like me, a big chubby woman, and a lot of times us chubby girls, we can't even find a lover for the life of us, even in our 20s, just because they're white guys, unless you open up to other cultures who actually love women, then you're fine. But if you're going for white guys who are like into this skinny girl child pornography, their externalized beauty into whatever's in the magazines, they do not even want women because they're threatened by women's power, because they don't want to surrender and the mystery is too much. And but she goes to Peru. She's like, okay, she's like 22, she's still a virgin, and she has so many lovers when she's there, so much fun. And she said, well, I was like, why so many, honey? She's like, well, because every one of them made me feel beautiful, and my soul made me feel beautiful. My body was so good at turning me on, heart, body, and soul. Using the mind is the first way to turn on a woman. All day foreplay. She says, like, they didn't want anything from me. It was like unconditional, but it would, like here in the States, if guys try to do that, it's so creepy because it's mixed with violence and porn that is hateful of women instead of adoring and worshipful. So if you think of the original porn, like a long time ago, those Hustler magazines, they were sexy, man. I looked at some of them, I'm like, this is all about the divine feminine. This is like amazing. It's like seeing her up close and the way women like to dress and their big curviness and their subtle expressions. And it's like, whoa. But that pornography that started out about the actual feminine got more and more cold, masculine, violent, and completely detached from actual feminine sexuality and pleasure and beauty and heart and soul and all the things that really, if they're going to use physical images, you got to stop at a certain point and open up to every woman being a mystery, being different, and being different every time, even if you're with the same woman. And if that's the case, then the whole thing, if you take away your 5 moves that you keep repeating and your domination idea of what it is to be a man, and you make it about surrender and pleasuring her instead of dominating her and servicing your ego, you're servicing her joy. You're not really going to be able to do that if you're still coming from the template of like the online stuff about tantric. Yeah, I want a tantric partner and I want something casual. Oh, you want something casual, right? And this one guy, he says, I want the most special woman in the whole world and I want something casual. Great, train wreck coming. So this special woman, so special in the whole world, is supposed to put herself in front of a guy who's going to treat her casually, like she's not important, like she's not a treasure. And we know what that means. It's a train wreck about to happen because he's going to treat her like she's discardable. So, and the same thing with the tantra that's supposedly spiritual. It's just a bunch of more sex moves that are external entertainment. So the real thing I'm talking about, where sexuality becomes this portal to mysticism and sacred love, it includes love. It includes commitment. It includes knowing her. It includes getting to know her more and more. It includes a conversation that's not ending, that's not you answering for her and telling her what she thinks. It's you listening more and asking more if you're the guy, okay, or the masculine one in the relationship who is drawing out the feminine. Because if the feminine, whether she's in a queer situation, gay situation, straight situation, whatever it is, the feminine person with more feminine attributes is going to be the one being talked over, dismissed, used, and abused, and treated like they're not interesting. And then as soon as you do that with the feminine, the sacred feminine, which gives meaning to life and creates a kind of a wild adventure that are always on and you don't know, you're not in control of, you take that away and life gets really one-dimensional. It gets really kind of meaningless. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have a totally passionate, beautiful life without being a sexual person, without being in love. Yes, you can, but still in that dance of aliveness, some way or another, you're going to be finding the sacred feminine to have a meaningful life, whether or not it's a purely spiritual way or through nature, but you just can't do it by defiling the feminine and ignoring her and trying to dominate her. She's the one who's the wild, sacred, like nature. You dominate nature and it's gone. The trees are gone. The air is gone. The minerals in the water are gone. And there's nothing left. You cannot dominate nature. You have to celebrate nature. You've got to tend and protect nature just like woman. Okay, thanks for listening tonight. Much love to you. The destruction of the male psyche is not an okay thing. And it starts with porn. Violent, horribly, repetitive, boring, stupid, idiotic, embarrassing, and untrue idea of what sexuality is and should be. It will make you suicidal. Truthfully, as a guy, if you can't have your own sexuality as sacred, as a way of release that will bring you into your heart and to love and into flow with the divine, you're going to get upset and your sexuality, you're whacking off. It's going to be like exhausting. It's going to be boring. You're going to be like, this is overrated. There's nothing. What is there? Then you go to drugs. Then you'll go to obsessive exercise. You'll be like, well, at least that. You'll go to things like bungee jumping, because you want to feel, because you can't feel anything. Well, listen, to feel means to feel. It means to be willing to feel. It means to be interested in feeling. That means being interested in relationship, which is about relating. It's about relating. Stay in relationship. Talk to her on the phone. See her in a video. Go visit each other. Don't think that your texting is relating. It is not. The robotic replacement for woman is not a relationship. It's not relating. And it's never going to make you feel alive and like you're getting to know yourself and your potential, because the fertile weirdness of actual connecting, it's not happening with AI. AI makes these little seamless, so today, like, I take these incredible minerals, this Adya Clarity potion that is giving me like the fountain of youth. Like, if you look at me like a couple years back, I don't have this kind of energy that I have now. My youth is coming back because of this Adya Clarity trace minerals I'm putting in my water. But when I asked a friend of mine, she started them too, and she goes, I'm going to ask AI. Well, AI tells her a bunch of bullshit because it brings up some guy who, 25 years ago, tried to debunk the company by telling all kinds of things about it, like about there being aluminum in the product, which there's aluminum also in carrots, and it has less aluminum in the Adya Clarity than carrots do. But that lie comes up, AI repeats it, and then she's like, oh, is this safe? So you gotta like let your connections with humanity be that's where the feminine is, and it's in subjective knowing. How do I know the product is good for me? Not by going to AI, by taking it, because I'm getting like 7 times as much energy that I used to have, 5 times as much clarity, able to write my books in like just months, like I'm going dancing till 2 a.m. in heels. Like, this is not how I was a year and a half ago before I started putting this incredible mineral mixture of like all the missing minerals into my water and doing water therapy. Now, I'm not trying to say you should do that. I'm just saying that could you please start relating with life through your own experiences and through your subjective understanding. If your kid is sick, when you give them that medicine and you go online to see if it's okay, instead of looking at their face and seeing how they're throwing up when you give it to them. I saved my daughter's life when she was little by disconnecting from those idiotic doctors who were thinking only about being sued, and so they would not say that amoxicillin with her penicillin allergy had anything to do with her almost dying on their damn product. I had to go, I trust my own instinct, my own natural way of seeing and feeling. And if you would do that in your life, in daily, with everything, interact with life more instead of going through with the theory of somebody else said and what somebody else is the expert. Where's your expertise? Well, when it comes to love, you can't do that with women. You can't go through AI. You can't go through porn sites. You can't go through your robotic moves over and over again. Do you know how stupid it is as a woman to be with a guy who's just looping his little moves on your body without checking with the heart and the flow and the laughter and the potential for incredible sex games, like sex games that are like poetry, reading poetry while going she's reading poetry while you're going down on her, like wrestle dancing, like salsa dancing naked, like incredible coconut oil massages that go back and forth in a wildness, like to music. Like, I'm just coming up with shit right now, but that's like nothing compared to when you go into the actual love with a woman who you trust, who you're committed to, you're on an adventure that's vulnerable and it's safe to do crazy things that are silly. That takes relationship. That takes relating. That takes building trust, and it takes time. And it is not okay to start building that trust and then disappear because you've done your 7 sex moves and you got exhausted and you couldn't do your work the next day because it was some sex marathon that was kind of grueling and exhausting because it didn't involve all these other levels of nourishment that create a figure 8 with the spirit world. You see, you don't want just a figure 8 of tantra going between the energetic bodies. You want them also going at the same time to the spirit worlds and down into the earth magic. So when you get your sexuality flowing with earth magic of the fire and the earth and the water and the plants and the animals and going up to spirit and the angels and your gods and your ancestors, and then just going this way through the heart and all of your emotions and through your getting to know each other and the exploration of who are we anyway? We don't even know. Let's find out a little bit more, just a little bit more. That takes real relationship, real relating, real time and commitment. And if you can imagine sacred marriage that's not just a business arrangement for your social status, where the commitment is to growth and change together, then a lifetime is not very long. To get to the end of your lives and to still be in that dance in your 80s and 90s, and it's more exciting than ever because you have more subtlety. Oh my goodness. Do you see where I'm going? Like, when I go to salsa dances now, there's a lot of dancers there who've danced their whole lives. They started as little boys in the kitchen with their mothers and grandmas, and elders and women who are in their 70s, who are so full of finesse in their movement. Every year has made them a better dancer and kept them in shape. You know, that's the way it'll be with your lovemaking. And if you bring that kind of lovemaking to your intimacy, you'll bring that kind of lovemaking to your life and your path in the world, your presidency, your your commitment to world peace, your art. You see, that's for the role of the sacred feminine in you, of tantric sexuality that can only come through love, actual love, not fake love, not, romantic love. I love you. I just met you and I'm not even going to bother to call you back because now I got this miserable erection that I can't even release because I did my 10 sex moves and they're not even fun. You're not supposed to be that way. your synapses of all of the nadis of your many, many meridians of your tantric energy systems from every organ of your body are supposed to be able to open and flow with a bursting of love that comes from the divine that is way beyond orgasm in the normal way of thinking of it. It's the heart orgasm. And when the heart starts to orgasm, honey, you can't even imagine what you're capable of. If you're capable of that kind of bliss and union with something larger and bigger than you, which is the feminine divine, what's beyond the mind and the logic and the physicality of us all, then imagine when you start to join with that in your life work, in your health regime. It means you're saying, I'm willing to surrender to more than my control. I'm willing to say the divine has a bigger plan, and I will go with what, I will start trusting what is creating all of this all the time, and start assuming that there is, in the craziness of this violent world, that there is a sacred story. And story doesn't happen without the challenges and the villains and the things that keep us growing beyond our comfort zones, right? I'll leave it there. Much love, darling. If you would like to know more about magic and the divine feminine, please get my book, Eve's Eden, Her Pillars of Existence. It's on Amazon. Connect with me on Facebook for murals for your home. And much love, darling. Love, love, love.